Stolen Fortune, Part 1 by Jason Halstead. Copyright 2024. Like, subscribe, and enjoy the story. Chapter 1.
Mr. Hicks.
The serious-looking woman with the perfectly tucked and starched uniform stated. It was more of a request, he supposed. Spacer Kesh was as no-nonsense as they came. Dearra had observed she was drier than a piece of toast floating in space. Speaking of his half-sister, he looked over at her sitting up on the economy class couch and saw the worry on her face.
Yes?
Lieutenant Commander Lynx would like a word.
You ready?
He asked his sister.
Just you, sir.
Kesh stated. She glanced at Dearra, and her face relaxed for a second. It was the closest she could manage to a smile.
Miss Hicks will be fine. Go ahead.
Brax hesitated a moment and then nodded. He stood up and nodded to the spacer.
Let's go then.
This way, sir.
She led him from the housing section of the research station. Brax hadn't even known there was a station studying the pulsar in the middle of the Thigard solar system. She took him past the labs and into the offices, where the Terran Navy had a small section for themselves. Chief Petty Officer Honda had the outermost office, and beyond him was Lieutenant Commander Lynx, the man in charge of the Terran Navy presence in the Thigard system. The Terran naval presence that consisted of the three people he'd seen today, plus Lieutenant Braden, the petite blonde woman that had been flying the interceptor that saved them from the pirates on the Fortune.
Sir, Mr. Hicks.
Kesh announced from the open doorway.
Thank you, Ivana. Mr. Hicks, please come in and have a seat,
He said as he stood up. Brax watched Spacer Kesh turn sharply and walk away. He caught a moody glare from the chief sitting at his open desk and then stepped into the office. He smiled and took the seat offered.
Now, Mr. Hicks Braxton. May I call you Braxton?
Brax winced.
Brax is fine.
Brax, oh. Braxton Hicks.
Brax sighed.
The story goes my mom had a lot of false labor for me. My dad loved the name Braxton, and they shared a twisted sense of humor.
Lynx took a moment to compose himself and then said,
Brax is just fine, I think.
Thank you.
Now the officer smiled.
Okay, well, the ice is broken, I suppose, and we can get down to business.
Brax chuckled and let him continue.
I know you've told the story a few times now, but I was hoping you could run through it one more time for me.
Is there a problem?
No problem. No inconsistencies either, at least not between you and Miss Hicks.
Brax took in a deep breath and nodded. It was easier here, closer to the center of the rotating station, where the gravity was lower, and there wasn't as much rotational velocity to adjust for.
We picked up a few different loads, and the captain suggested we come through Thigard's system to maybe save some time and dodge taxes from a few systems on their way back to Terran space.
Customs too,
The commander guessed. Brax shrugged.
Yeah, but not because we were smuggling. Because that eats up time and we had deadlines.
You knew all this. Knew what was on your captain's mind.
Dad, the captain, didn't keep anything about the job from us. Family ship, family business.
That's fair. So, what happened next?
We popped through the warp tunnel into Thigard, and I plotted a course through it. Dearra started up her usual scans and picked up an anomaly she couldn't pin down. A few hours later, she told us she's pretty sure it's a ship running passive and coming for us. Dad had me change course a few times and it matched, so we knew then.
Knew what?
They were probably pirates.
I see. Go on.
Dad had me ramp up to full speed, which wasn't like it used to be. The Lita's well drive needed parts and constant calibration. That, and we couldn't separate her artificial gravity from the drive fields, so we were maxed out at a couple of Gs. That's when the other ship went active and fired up their main drive. Dearra called for help then, and we got Lieutenant Braden. She responded and we thought we were in the clear, so it didn't matter when Dearra figured out there was a corvette on our ass butts, sir.
It was your tail end, Brax. You can call it whatever you like.
Brax returned the officer's smile.
Okay, well, we made all sorts of plans to get as far and fast as possible. We didn't know about the research station here. Probably the pulsar's signal made Dearra overlook it or something. Not like we could have made it to here faster. When we realized it was just an interceptor, we realized we weren't getting away. That's when we talked and decided we'd surrender, sort of. Act like we were surrendering, at least, to take more time and get Lieutenant Braden in closer. Even if she only had one interceptor, nobody's dumb enough to fire on the Terran Navy with witnesses.
You'd be surprised. In an infinite universe, there's a lot more dumb than you realize. Or maybe they planned on taking out the witnesses too.
Brax agreed with the man.
That was their plan, I think. They didn't open our airlock, they blew it up. Dad and another crew member, Adam, got spaced right then. Our moms told us to run and hide, and they stayed to fight.
Our moms?
Yeah, sorry. Linda Hicks was my mom, Oksana Hicks was Dearra's.
Lynx checked his display and nodded.
Okay, that orbits. I was trying to understand the family tree here.
Yeah, poly families can be confusing on the outside. Dad was both our dads though, so.
Lynx frowned.
Are you sure?
It's my family, of course I'm sure.
Brax said. Then he stopped and thought about it. Why wouldn't he be sure? What made Lynx question him?
Why do you ask?
I've got access to a medical record that was unsealed at the deaths of Linda and Oksana Hicks. It shows an embryo was artificially fertilized using their genetic markers. Same as any same-sex couple can do, although with women, the result can only be a daughter due to available chromosomes.
Brax stared at him.
You didn't know.
Brax shook his head.
Dad would.
It's required by law for all adult members of a polygamous family unit to sign off. One of the signatures listed is Jard Hicks, your father.
Fuck.
I'm sorry to reveal this to you.
Brax stared at his hands and then looked up, uncertain of how long he'd spaced out.
Doesn't matter.
I'm sorry?
It doesn't matter. He was our dad. Even if, my mom was Dearra's, not mother?
Lynx chuckled.
That's up to you to decide. You're still related genetically. She's still your half-sister.
Brax considered and then asked,
Does she know?
Unless your parents told her, no.
Wow, okay. Probably not then. Can I be the one?
Of course. I'm sorry to drop this on you this way.
Brax shook his hand.
Nah, it's something, isn't it? Doesn't change anything, I guess. Wait! Am I?
Yes, you are. It does appear your father did need medical assistance, though. He suffered some radiation damage that caused reproductive issues. Sadly, many people do, but men are more susceptible than women.
Cheap shielding?
Among many other things, yes.
Brax blew out his breath and took some of the sudden anxiety with it.
Okay, so Dearra's suit had a tear in it and I patched her up when we found out. Then we hid in the maintenance tunnels on the Lita and I wanted to just wait at first.
Lynx noticed his hesitation.
At first.
Yeah. That was my plan, but Dearra suggested we might not make it doing that. She thought we should try to get on the other ship. The pirate's ship.
The Fortune?
Yeah, the Fortune. But we knew we couldn't handle that many pirates coming back, so we wanted to make sure they didn't come back. Only when we reached the reactor we found out they'd already rigged it to blow and timed it so it would take out Lieutenant Braden too.
That didn't happen.
No, I changed it. Gave us a 20-minute timer and we burned hard to get onto the Fortune and then we made for the bridge. They'd only left one person behind, Nova, the XO, and we got the drop on her when the Lita's reactor exploded. 30-some hours later, Lieutenant Braden showed up.
The officer nodded and leaned back in his chair for a moment.
There's nothing I can do that will bring your family back. I am sorry for what happened, but from the sounds of things, Even if we'd had a carrier battle group in the system, I don't think it would have helped, and we'll never have a carrier battle group in this system.
Brax swallowed down the lump in his throat and nodded.
Looking at it now, I think it went about as good as it possibly could have.
Considering you took out a wanted pirate, I agree. There's a bounty on him you and your sister will be receiving. Have you been in touch with insurance yet about the leader?
No, not yet.
It had been almost a standard week since they'd become guests on the station, and Brax hadn't gotten around to filing a claim yet. Between the interaction with the Navy and trying to deal with all that happened, he'd been putting it off.
That might not be a bad thing.
Brax blinked.
I'm sorry.
Lynx leaned forward.
Brax, I've been in contact with a member of the Navy who is in charge of a task force aimed at curtailing piracy in the galaxy or the Terran systems at least. I have to wonder though, the decision to make your ship self-destruct, was that really the smartest move you could make?
Brax's brow furrowed.
What do you mean?
I mean, you had to know that would void any insurance payout you'd receive. Self-destruction clears them of any possible payout.
Brax's jaw dropped.
You had no idea, did you?
I never thought of it.
Brax said. He ran the words through his head again while his stomach dropped.
You're right, I didn't think of that.
What were you thinking? Right then, in the moment, what were you thinking?
I was thinking I want these fuckers to pay. Dearra was more vocal about it, but, yeah, I wanted them to die for what they did.
Lynx sat back in his chair again. Brax realized what he'd just admitted. His chest tightened, and he felt like the room was spinning a lot faster than it really was.
Did I just say something I shouldn't have?
The commander laughed.
Brax, you said exactly what I wanted to hear.
Okay, is that good, or bad? For me, I mean.
Lynx laughed harder.
I hope it's good for everyone. Well, for the right people at least.
I don't follow.
What do you think of Nova?
Brax nearly fell out of his chair.
The pirate?
Yes.
I think I don't know. She's different. I mean, I guess maybe she's a product of her environment, but I hope she goes to prison for a very long time.
You don't blame her for your family's death.
Brax winced.
Sort of, but not really.
Why not? She's one of the pirates on the ship that killed them.
Brax considered the spirited woman and what had happened a moment before he responded.
But she wasn't part of the boarding crew. She wasn't the captain that came up with the plan or orders either. But yeah, maybe if she hadn't been a part of it, they would still be alive. But if I start thinking like that, then I might as well blame all pirates everywhere.
Why not?
Brax stared at him.
Think about it, Brax. If there weren't any pirates, your family would still be alive.
I guess. But there are.
Yes, there are. Like I said, I can't bring your family back.
Lynx paused to let that sink in before he asked,
But what if I can help it so nobody else has to go through what you did?
How's that?
Instead of answering, he asked another question.
What if you can help make that happen too?
Brax leaned forward a little.
Now I'm really confused. How could I help with that?
Lynx tapped his console and looked at his display.
Brax, I'm looking at a combination of test results and simulations, all about you right now. They tell me you are a young man with a lot of potential. Honestly, I'd think you were great material for trying to recruiting into the Navy. I could see you qualifying for OCS.
I never thought about.
Commander Lynx held up a hand to stall him.
We can discuss that later, after I make you another offer. You'll want to think about that. For now, I want you to think about this.
Brax leaned forward more.
You won't get an insurance payout for the leader. Instead, the Navy is willing to comp you the full purchase price of it. Not the approximate worth at its time of destruction, its full purchase price.
Whoa!
You've already earned the bounty for the capture of the Fortune and the death of its captain.
Brax nodded and felt like the ventilation in the office could stand to be turned up. He was starting to feel hot.
What I need you to do, in order to get the payout, is help me take down the pirates.
Brax stared at him, and then realized he wasn't going to say any more. At least not without Brax responding.
All of them?
A good chunk. I need to know locations and plans, if possible, of pirates. We know they have a loose organization that the majority of them work together in. I've heard they call themselves the Jolly Rogers, or sometimes the Black Fleet. I want you to infiltrate them and feed us information. I want you to help us protect other innocent people.
Me?
You and your sister. We're willing to release Nova and the Fortune, provided you all agree to work with us. You'd be on her crew and living the lives of pirates. It's very possible you could be in harm's way at times, and we'll do everything we can to protect you when we can, but that might not be very often.
Brax managed to swallow.
Remember, Brax, that what happened to you doesn't have to happen to other people. You can help stop that.
Brax nodded and then realized his nod might be mistaken for agreeing.
What? What if I say no? What if Dearra says no?
But if you do, then you get your bounty and you go on your way. You're welcome to charter passage off the station on the next supply freighter that docks. As for your sister, she won't walk away from this. This is right up her alley, and I think you know that. The problem is, without having you there to ground her, I'm worried she might go too deep and might give herself away. Or maybe she tries too hard and gets herself into trouble. Together, I think you two can pull this off. Apart, I think it fails.
Brax gasped. Dearra was shit, he could see it. She would throw herself into it big time, and, yeah, she could easily give away too much. Or put herself in harm's way. She was always the one that went a little too hard and ended up in trouble because of it.
Can I think about it?
Of course. Think about it and talk to Dearra too.
You're not going to ask her?
Who's it going to sound better coming from, me or you? She's still pissed off at me because all we have is an interceptor here instead of a fleet of high-speed battleships.
Brax smirked as the thought of how close Lynx was to the truth. She said nearly those same words, only she called it a bunch of big-ass ships when she said it.
Okay, I'll talk to her.
The commander stood up and stretched out his hand.
Thank you, Brax. That's all I can ask. We've got a real opportunity to do a lot of good here. I hope you see that.
I do. See that, I'll talk to her.
That's great. I'll have Chief Honda take you back. Good luck, Brax.
Chapter 2.
Dearra picked her jaw up after hearing Brax's news and said,
Get spaced. No way did he offer that.
He did. And, there's more.
Brax, we're fucking kids. I mean, not legally, but come on, we're not soldiers. We're not spies, there's no way this is legit.
Brax held up his hands.
I know, but I swear on our mom that it's true.
Yeah, I believe you, but what I don't get is how this works. I mean, they have to have people that do these things, right? They're the fucking Navy. Don't they have, like, special forces and stuff?
I think it's because we're not military. No training, nothing to give us away.
This is insane.
He nodded.
There's something else, D.
More? Like, what could possibly be more?
It's, he had access to sealed records from our parents.
Sealed records? What?
Sealed until their death.
That's pretty fucking cowardly. What was in them? Wait. Are we, like, secretly a prince and princess of a solar system and we're fabulously rich?
Brax chuckled and shook his head.
Not exactly. Or not at all, really. But, speaking of money, we won't be getting anything for the Lita. At least, not unless we take the commander up on his offer.
What? That's space shit. He can't do that. Insurance will.
Not pay a credit since we blew it up ourselves.
Brax interrupted her. She gawked at him a moment and then realized he was right.
Fuck me.
Yeah,
So that was the extra thing?
no, that's not it. Oh, but there was a good thing. We'll get the bounty for capturing the Fortune and eliminating her captain.
No shit? Well, that's something. Not buy a new ship money, but it should be enough to buy stripper clothes so we can start up a new career.
I don't like the thought of you doing that.
She grinned at him.
Me? I meant you. I'll be your manager.
Brax chuckled again.
You're truly one of a kind, you know that?
Dad would be so proud of you.
Brax winced.
Brah, that was a joke.
I know, it's just that's the other thing. The sealed documents? Dad and Mom had me and spent a lot of money to do so. Dad's, well, he was fertility inhibited. Radiation damage or who knows what.
Dee studied him and said,
Yeah, that happens to a lot of people.
That's just it, you technically didn't have a father. Not a genetically male one, that is.
Dearra blinked at him. He pushed on before she could jump to conclusions.
My mom and yours, Oksana, are you genetic parents? They went that route instead because it was cheaper for a same-sex couple to get funding to have a baby.
Dee continued to stare.
D.
Her eyes shimmered, but she focused on him.
Why?
Why what? A tear rolled down her cheek.
Why would they hide this? Why wait until they're gone to tell us?
I don't know.
His throat felt thick, and his eyes were starting to itch a little. He pushed on to try and blunder through the moment.
They wanted, I don't know why they did what they did. I mean, I get the costs and all, but why hide it? It's not like we all didn't know that my mom and yours loved each other maybe even more than they both loved Dad.
She took in a breath and let it out in a sigh.
I knew. They told me a while ago. Well, Linda and Oksana told me. But they wanted me to keep it to myself.
Brax's jaw dropped this time. She sniffed and said,
Sorry, this is just bringing up some stuff. Jared loved me just as much as you. He raised me the same as you. They all did. If I had to guess, I'd say they didn't tell us as a family because it didn't matter. They didn't want either of us feeling different or special because we weren't. Not to them. We were just their kids and we were all family.
That makes sense, but you knew?
She nodded.
Why didn't you tell me?
I needed some time to digest it. Then I realized it didn't change anything, so why bother you?
He opened and then shut his mouth.
Yeah. So surprise, I'm your half-sister.
Shut up.
She laughed and wiped the wetness from her eyes.
You fuck off. We're still blood, so you can't try to date me.
Nasty.
I know you've been catching peeks of me.
We've lived on a ship together for 20 years. I wasn't trying to catch you, it just happens. You've seen me too.
Oh, you were trying a few years back. I remember.
He groaned and stood up to pace around the small room.
We were kids. Like, young hormonal kids. I wanted to know what you did too.
She grinned at him.
Relax, brah, I'm just tweaking your boosters.
He snorted.
Come here, sit down.
She said, and patted the couch beside her. Brax went over and sat down. She scooted over and picked up his arm before leaning onto his shoulder. He wrapped his arm around her, and for all the awkwardness she loved to tease, it felt good to hold her and good to be held.
So Nova.
She said after a few moments of cuddling.
Ugh.
Yeah. She's something, isn't she?
He looked down at her but couldn't see enough of her face to read her mood.
I figured you'd want her spaced. Maybe set on fire first for good measure.
I did, but after 2 days, stuck with that woman and I had to be the one to take her to the bathroom and all that while she was tied up because you're a boy and she's a girl anyhow, I don't hate her as much as I want to. She's not I don't know, she's not what I thought a pirate would be.
Neither was Mom.
Dearra smiled again.
Technically, she was forced to be a pirate, not because she wanted to be. She never boarded any ships or hurt anyone either, she was just an engineer.
Nova didn't board our ship.
No. She said they always left her behind. Exo's duty was to stay on the bridge, according to her captain.
I thought it was supposed to be the other way around.
She shrugged, digging her shoulder into his side a little.
I think pirates do it different, from what I've read. Kind of a control thing that, and they're afraid their crew will steal from them.
Nice.
So the commander is offering us the fortune.
Sort of. Nova would be captain, but she'd know we'd really be in charge.
Until she gets some more people loyal to her and rats us out to them.
Yeah, there's that. I'm sure they can rig up some kind of booby trap in the engine or reactor or maybe some code in the system we can use for leverage though.
Somebody's been watching too many spy streams.
Shut up. This is the Terran military we're talking about. They can do stuff like that.
Okay, so say they can.
Dearra conceded.
What about the fortune? That's a pretty fucking big ship for 3 people to fly. You're a pilot and I can handle the computers, but what can she do other than mutter piratical nonsense? Who keeps the engines and reactor running? Who fixes the pipes when a thruster breaks or the shitter stops cycling?
Piratical? Is that a word?
You understood it, that makes it one.
Well, I can probably handle the reactor and engines.
Not if you're flying.
Right, we'll need more people. More crew. We can limp by with a skeleton crew for now, I think, as long as everything is running, but that'll have to be a priority.
We'll have to be part of the hiring process.
Hiring process? I don't think pirates have a hiring process.
Recruiting? Whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, you're right. We'll have to vet the people as best we can.
This is crazy, brah. Stupid crazy.
I'll be damned, he was right.
What? Who?
Commander Lynx. He said you'd be all in for it.
She lifted herself up and looked at him.
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
She slapped his shoulder.
What? I had a hunch you would. You're crazy enough to do it.
Her shock turned into a grin.
And you're an asshole.
Maybe, but you're smiling.
Sure, the chance to take out some pirates and keep them from hurting people? Who doesn't think that's a good thing?
Right, but we're in way over our head.
Yeah, but I've been thinking about that. With us, he's got no links if something goes bad. He can leave us in the dark and have nothing to worry about.
That doesn't make me feel better.
Right, it shouldn't we're taking all the risk here, even if he claims he'll be monitoring us and all that space shit. There's a fuck ton of a risk, but for every attack we stop it's that much more worth it.
I guess.
Don't guess, it's true.
I agree, but I think this excites you too.
Dearra's cheeks flushed.
Fuck off.
It does!
Yeah. So what? You know how I am. That doesn't make me bad. In fact, I think it makes me good. I'm excited to help out. Maybe you should be more excited.
I'm just worried.
She studied him and then leaned in and hugged him.
Good. You be worried and keep us safe. I'll be excited and keep us moving forward.
She said, and then backed away from him.
Together, brah, we can do it. I believe in us.
You're getting to get me killed.
Dearra laughed and hugged him again.
Chapter 3.
Nova unsealed her suit and slipped her arms out and pushed it down her body just as the door opened. She looked up and then grinned, standing there in a tight shirt that left her belly exposed and a pair of shorts that might have actually been underwear, for all Brax knew.
Oi! Blue Eyes! I wondered if they was letting you out of the stocks.
Brax blushed, and after Dearra swatted him on the shoulder, he turned away.
Stocks? Like the stock market?
It's an old torture device. When pirates were caught, they'd be imprisoned in them.
Oh,
No need to look away. It hasn't even got interesting yet. How you going to wash my back if you don't look at me?
wash what? I'm not.
Dearra scowled at the pirate's attempts to fluster her brother.
Why do you have a spacesuit on?
I don't.
She said, and tapped it with her toe. Dearra sighed.
Why did you?
They made me fix up my fortune. Even shared some tools and materials, if you believe it.
Fix it up? What was wrong with it?
Brax asked without turning to look.
You done a bit of work on her hull with that freighter of yours. Scrapped up her port armor mighty good. Had some leaks to plug.
Oh, really?
That's good. That you fixed it, I mean. Did they tell you what's going to happen?
I'm getting my ship back, and she's mine this time.
Brax coughed and said,
Sort of. We've got a job. All of us do.
My job is to be a pirate. My kind of pirate, now that the fortune's mine. You could say my ship came in.
Brax groaned.
Except our job is to find other pirates and stop them from hurting people.
Nova grinned.
Ain't it great?
Dearra blinked and looked to her brother. He was still staring at a wall, bless his heart. She turned back to the nearly naked pirate.
This doesn't bother you?
Fuck me till I've got less air than a vented airlock. Why should it? I get to do my thing and we stop others from doing theirs. That leaves more for me.
I think you're missing the point.
Wait, what does that have to do with, the other part? About you and an airlock?
Oh, nothing. Just thought I'd offer to pop the your cherry.
Brax stiffened and then coughed again.
Anyhow, so crew. We need a crew. I can pilot or be engineer, but I'll need to get familiar with the ship. I can't do both though. Dee's amazing at comms and sensors. Anything with the ship's computers, really.
Not so good with navigation though. Orbital astrophysics makes my head spin.
Good to know.
Nova turned to the locker. She'd stashed her clothes.
I can fly, till we get some proper boots under the bunks. Got an idea on where to find them boots too.
You're a pilot?
Brax started to glance her way. He stopped himself when he caught a glimpse of the discarded spacesuit on the deck.
I've done it all.
Nova said, while tugging on a pair of skin-hugging black leggings over her underwear, and adding a sleeveless red and brown jacket, bedazzled with mysterious metal trophies.
First-class ship rat, I am. Started young and worked my way through a few ships, till I found this beauty.
Hang on, you said you have some ideas on where to get a crew? Where is that?
Nova stepped into a pair of boots and tightened them up before standing up straight and looking at her.
Gal Prime, in the Galapagos system.
Dearra's eyes widened, and Brax sucked in a breath.
Stick with me. I'll show you what's beyond the edge of the map.
We've been to Gal Prime. It's colorful.
You've been sucking your mom's tits on Gal Prime, I'm guessing. Now you can find new tits to suck.
Wah.
Brax, she's dressed. Not decent, but dressed.
Nova flashed her a grin, a wink, and a curtsy. Brax turned and looked her up and down. With her jacket open, her belly was still on display, though it sat in shadow beneath her breasts. He jerked his eyes up and caught a twinkle in hers as she noted exactly where he'd been looking.
We'll have to be careful, right, Brax?
Right.
He agreed, and then fought to put together the conversation to remember what they were being careful about. The crew, from Gal Prime.
Gal Prime is better than some places. We just need to vet them.
No thieves or murderers?
It's not that, it's making sure they're loyal to us so.
Loyal to me, I'm captain of the Fortune. She's my ship.
She's Terran Navy property. Captured and impounded.
Nova snorted the detail away.
Perhaps, but possession and all that. Once we're out there, I've got the biggest hat. That makes me boss lady, and I'm gonna like having people do what I tell 'em.
Brax shook his head.
Navy's got hooks in that ship. They'll be keeping tabs on us and making sure we, and by we I mean you, don't double-cross them.
That's right, our safety's a priority to them. Imagine the shitstorm it would raise if word got out they stuck a couple of people like us in harm's way.
That'd make for rough sailing. Not to worry, Gal Prime's gonna take us a bit to get to. Gives me time enough to learn you the fine arts of pirating.
We are not stealing from anyone with a crew of 3 people.
Pirating's about more than that. Just you wait and see.
Chapter 4.
Are you absolutely sure about this? We can still change our minds.
Dearra actually stopped and considered. She nodded to herself and then refocused on her brother.
We've got what? Our personal savings and that bounty to split between us. You said the bounty was what, 10,000?
Brax nodded.
So enough to pay for travel, a place to stay, and food for a little while. Enough, really. We could probably get jobs somewhere and fight to make a living.
Yeah, probably. We're licensed, skilled, and have some experience.
But realistically, we're talking companies rated C or lower. We just don't have the experience.
Hey, the Lita had a C rating.
And we struggled with every trip. And we were a family, which made it easier sort of.
Brax sulked for a moment and then said,
All right, so there's another option, Navy. With our certs and experience, we could easily make warrant officer, maybe even get into OCS and become actual officers.
Then we could end up like the spacers stuck here?
Most people in the Terran Navy don't end up in positions like this. We're nothing like Chief Honda. He's just bitter and mean.
I'll say. And the commander obviously is using us for his own agenda, but it's a win-win, as long as nothing bad happens to us.
Yeah, well, it's starting out kind of rough. I don't know if Nova's going to go for it.
Dearra smiled.
Are you kidding me? She's going to eat this up. As long as you can do your part.
Brax winced.
Come on, I've seen you look at her. Hell, I've seen her. You're not telling me you're not attracted to her.
It's not.
Brax trailed off and sighed.
I don't know how to do it. Win her over. Woo her. Date her. Whatever.
Relax, brah, I got you. I'll help you.
This is weird.
Nah, it's not like I'm going to line your pecker up and guide it in, I'm just going to make sure you say and do the right things so when the time comes, you can line your own pecker up.
Gah. Stop. I'm not, that is not what I'm trying to do her.
Come on, she's as hot as her name. You can't tell me you don't want to sex her up.
I'm not having this conversation with you.
Fine, just proves my point.
No, it doesn't.
She grinned.
Whatever. The answer to your question is yes, I'm sure about this. For the same reasons I was sure when you first asked me. Today is just theatrics. It doesn't change anything else. Just us tricking her now too, which I'm fine with. Long as we're together, we got this.
Okay, let's do it then.
Dearra gave him a smile and a nod and said,
Love you.
Love you too, let's go.
Brax tapped the emergency release on the control panel next to Nova's door. It slid open immediately and stayed open while Nova yelped and sat up in her bed. Her blanket fell to her hips, but she was conscious enough to hold an arm across her bare chest.
Get dressed.
Dearra snapped.
Brax, keep an eye out.
What the fuck?
We have to go. Get dressed and come on.
Go? Go where?
Nova asked. She looked around and blinked, focusing her eyes.
Are they finally letting us go?
They're not letting us do anything except rot in a prison.
Hurry up.
Brax stood in the doorway. He was facing out instead of in and trying not to think of the glimpse of Nova's boobs he'd seen. Nova threw the sheet back and swung her legs out and over the edge of the bed. She was naked except for the racy pair of underwear she wore.
I don't get it.
Lynx didn't get approval. They think we're in on it with you. We're all going to be working till we're old and useless in a Navy prison.
Oh, that's about as much fun as playing chicken with an asteroid.
No shit. So we're leaving. Now.
Leaving how?
You've got a ship, right?
Nova blinked, and then a grin lifted her lips.
You want to steal my ship?
We want you to steal your ship. It was Brax's idea.
Nova glanced at the back of Brax's head, and then back to Dearra.
So we steal the fortune. They got nothing that can stop us, if we can get free.
We've got the codes. Brax distracted Honda while I swiped the codes off his station.
You sneaky bitch.
Nova said. She laughed a half-second later.
I had a hunch about you, Blue.
Dearra rolled her eyes.
Now get dressed before they realize we didn't go back to our quarters like we were supposed to.
Nova stood up and stretched. Her legs tightened and pointed in interesting ways, all the way up to the high-cut waistline of her underwear. With that out of the way, she went to the wall and tapped it, popping out the drawer that had the clothes she'd been allowed to bring onto the station. Dearra watched her pull on the same one-piece bodysuit she'd worn the day they met her. She stretched and tugged until it was in place, and then she grabbed a short skirt, her empty utility belt, her boots, and her jacket.
What's taking so damn long? She trying to pick the best outfit for jailbreaking?
Ooh, I think I like this side of him.
Nova said, as she finished tightening her boots around her ankles.
Forceful and confident.
He's not the only one, let's go.
Brax turned.
Oh, she's ready?
Sorry I took so long.
Nova said without looking like she meant it.
I like to be prepared, just in case.
Brax turned again and started walking.
Prepared for what? You're not armed.
No, but my bodysuit will keep my shit together if we end up doing an unplanned spacewalk.
What?
It's got a pressure sensor. Tightens right snugger than a Zendari wrestler. You might want to get yourself one.
No kidding? I just stopped bleeding every time I go to the bathroom after my suit lost pressure.
Doesn't help the face, of course.
Yeah. Well, if you get spaced, you don't want to experience it any longer than you have to.
That's right.
Nova looked at the hallway Brax was leading them down, and after they passed a maintenance worker heading the other way, she asked,
Hey, Blue, where are you going?
I thought I was blue.
Sorry, you both have blue eyes. I'll come up with better names.
Spacewalk. Not the kind you need that bodysuit for, though.
Now you're just trying to get me to take it back off again.
Dearra smirked.
Wouldn't surprise me, but no, we're getting some suits and going out an airlock.
Sure. Who wants to make off with a tug or a transport? Not when you can nick some vintage spacesuits.
Old, yes. Not vintage, old enough they don't have overrides.
Oi, we might make a pirate out of you yet, Mr. Brax.
Mr. Hicks.
That's Dad.
Dearra said.
Doesn't sound right for you. Mr. Brax does sound more piratical.
Brax rolled his eyes and sighed. He didn't fight her, though. He focused instead on finding the right door to enter to take them to a ladder that was closer to the core of the station. They were light enough that climbing down the ladder was a poor way of thinking about it. Down meant towards their feet, even though their senses said down was through the ladder. The spin this close to the center was fast enough to add a little push to their left as well. It took them almost 10 minutes for all three to make it down the ladder and then into a maintenance station. Brax opened lockers and removed 3 of the old-style unisex spacesuits. All 3 of them were within the height and weight range of one size fits all, although Dearra was closest to the height limit.
Stylish, but sloppy enough I don't need to strip down again.
Can't wear your boots.
Dearra pointed out.
That's a damn shame.
Nova noted. She took them off.
Hurry, they've got to be looking for us by now.
All 3 of them began stuffing themselves into the spacesuits. While she worked, Nova looked at the siblings and continued to piece together the abrupt change of events since they woke her up.
Oi, you two sure you want to come with me?
You can't fly that ship on your own.
I'd find a way. You two, though. You ain't like me.
They think we are. Claim there's no records of us, outside of what might have been on the Leda, and the computers were slagged when the reactor blew.
Nova let out a single laugh.
Fly with me, we'll show 'em.
Don't have much choice.
Nova grinned and finished sealing her suit. She reached for the helmet and made sure the others were nearly ready before she put it on, twisted it, and engaged the seals. A few seconds later, the suit finished powering up, and she heard the recycling fans kicks in and smelled the bitter taint of the air scrubbers. Within seconds, Brax and Dearra had their helmets on, and Brax was the first to activate the line-of-sight comm system between the suits and ask,
Green?
All systems green.
I'm thinking I prefer blue to green.
Does that mean your suit is good?
It's good.
Nova said without taking the laugh out of her voice. Brax moved past her to the maintenance airlock.
It'll be tight, but we can fit.
Hold on.
Dearra hurried over and started tapping in the code. Before she finished, the lights flickered in the station, and a long chime sounded.
Attention all station personnel. There are 2 persons of interest on the station that are needed for questioning. If you see them, please report them immediately to the Naval Office. Braxton Hicks and Dearra Hicks. Do not attempt to stop them if you see them. They may be dangerous.
Shit.
Finish the code.
Dearra tapped in the last 3 digits, and the inner airlock door slid open.
Yes.
Move.
Brax snapped and spread his arms wide to encourage the 2 women in. They moved without needing him to shepherd them, and were soon jammed together inside the airlock intended for a single person carrying tools.
I'm in. Cycle it.
Tighter than a virgin at a slave auction.
Nova observed.
I got it.
Dearra muttered, while she struggled to type in the code a second time on the control panel inside the airlock. She managed it, and the lights cycled to yellow, while the air was pumped out of the room. The light flickered red a heartbeat before the outer door rotated out, exposing them to the darkness of space. Nova let out a whoop and gave Dearra a nudge. Dearra yelped and fell out into space. Before she could float away endlessly, Nova grabbed her arm and spun her around. Through their helmets, Dearra saw the pirate grinning. Nova saw the panic-stricken face of Dearra, and she swallowed her grin as best she could.
First spacewalk?
Nova asked as the pulsar at the heart of Thigard came into view above them. The beam of light coming out of its pole was up and away from the station, sparing them even as it rotated on its axis every 57.4 seconds.
Yes.
Nova and Brax winced.
I mean no. Second.
Both times the fortune is our destination. These suits have thrusters. Use the controls on your arm to pick the target before blind firing them though.
Link up. Let me in front. Grab my suit. I'll use my thrusters. Anything goes wrong. Both of you have yours still.
Nova instructed them.
That's smart.
Okay.
D, you're in the middle.
The spin of the research station took the pulsar out of view while they shuffled and arranged themselves. Brax and Nova spoke, offering instructions and stating their intentions a few times. Dearra focused on breathing and not staring into the blackness of space. The pulsar swam back into view within seconds of the 3 of them, drifting away from the airlock and off into space. Nova accelerated them enough so they were traveling faster than the station was rotating as they moved up its z-axis and slowly out from it. She used her thrusters manually, rather than following Brax's instructions, and still managed to put them on course for the Fortune. The Fortune wasn't docked with the station, but it was caught in magnetic clamps that kept it secured. Technically, the only thing missing was a gantry linking the 2, but since the main airlock and gantry had been damaged by the Leda's destruction, the ship had only been reachable with a short-range transport and brief evase.
You fixed the airlock, right?
Brax asked, as the Fortune loomed larger and larger in front of them.
Closes nice and tight 4 times out of a 5.
What?
Relax, Blue. I'm only teasing you.
Oh, okay.
Brace for brakes in 3, 2, 1.
Nova counted down and fired her thrusters. Dearra grunted as she bumped into Nova's back. At the same time, Brax bumped into hers. She panicked for a second, terrified they were going to crush her. Brax's soothing voice finally broke through, and she realized she wasn't crushed, just squeezed a little.
Here she is. Grab your sissy, Brax.
Nova said as she reached out and snagged a grip outside the airlock. Nova swung around and caught herself with a foot and a hand to the hull. Dearra rolled off of her back as she lost her grip and bumped against the outer airlock door. She screamed again as she thought herself lost to space. Brax's voice brought her back. He had her in his arms, and he was staring into her spacesuit. The pulsar began to pass by overhead, and some of its light reflected off his visor.
Locks opening.
Brax used his grip on the Fortune as leverage and slowly turned his sister around. Once she was staring at the ship, her heart began to slow. The opening door was almost within arm's reach of her. She grinned in spite of the tears on her cheeks, and then she was moving towards it, propelled by her brother and his grip from behind. Once they floated into the airlock, the ship's gravity field pulled them down. Dearra's knees were too weak to support her, and she collapsed while Nova cycled the airlock.
Ready up, kids. Might be a squad of angry sailors on the other side of this.
Dearra gasped and stared up at her brother.
Maybe this wasn't a good idea.
End of part 1 of Stolen Fortune. Remember to like, subscribe, and hurry back for part 2 as soon as you can.